Welcome, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon, depending where you're coming from. And today we're gonna talk about self-prospecting, the part number 2. I'm Diana Riga, and I'm gonna go through this topic with you today. And we're very excited. We had an amazing Spanish session yesterday, and we had an amazing amount of attendees and also lots of questions. So it seems that this topic um, it brings out a lot of conversation. So this is live. So please go to for housekeeping rules, take notes of your questions and go to the control panel of the GoToWebinar and write them down. And we're gonna have time for that at the end. Also, if you want to share this presentation with your team, please go to the handouts and download it now so you can go through it later. We add a lot of information to this presentations so you can have it later as a guide. Okay. So the agenda for today's webinar is going to be basically about we're going to go through again about with going back to basic concepts that we touched in the surface on the part 1, and we just want to go deeper today. And we're going to talk about how the sales prospecting, we can see it on the sales funnel. Also, we're going to share 10 tips to an effective sales prospecting, also sales prospecting techniques. That's very important. And for me, the most important topic is the KPIs. We need to know how to evaluate and our teams and ourselves, and we need to see how we're doing, and we need to know which metrics to use. So today we're going to talk about that, and it's going to be only 30 minutes of your time, so you can, if you please can just turn off your phones and just focus for this 30 minutes. I promise I'm gonna be on time, okay? Thank you so much. I can see people. Thank you. Okay, hi everyone. Okay, let's get started. So effective sales prospecting is key to the success or failure of the sales reps within your company, because prospecting is the step that comes before selling. It's the step that brings you leads. So even though it's something that comes after lead generation also, it's a very important part of your sales process. And you need your sales reps to make sales prospecting a priority in their schedule each day. It's something that we must do every day, right? Effective sales prospecting is a learned skill. This is very important because it doesn't matter how experienced you are, it doesn't matter how many years you're being in sales. You are continuously learning about prospecting, because this is a technique that will continuously grow with you as a professional, but also with knowing how to all these tools that are available for us to get to know more about our customer. And the thing is that as much as we know about sales, if we don't know and we don't find out about our customers, the experience won't work there, right? So just as with closing, it is important to bring the right energy and talent to the table to ensure that you're finding the right leads at the right time. So don't just be excited when you found the the qualified lead. You need to have the same energy through the whole process. Even if it's the first call, you're gonna see from the tips that we're gonna share later on. That's very important to be consistent when it comes to sales prospecting, right? So moving on, let's start with basic concepts. We're saying it here, it's basic, but I wanted to share this concept and this definition so we can have a better idea of what we're actually doing, because we're doing this every day. So we need to know, like, what are we doing every day? What is the meaning of everything that we're doing? So, like, we can improve, and also if we need to make like a shift from where we are and make it better, and learn from this basic definition, okay? So what is sales prospecting? Prospecting is the process of searching for potential customers, clients, or buyers in order to develop new business. I highlighted here process of searching. Why? Because it is a process. It is a process that will take time. And remember, we are searching. This is continuously going on. We are always searching for what? For the potential customer. But the end goal is to move prospects through the sales funnel. So this process of searching is the one that will feed my sales funnel. So you can see how important it is. So if you are not prospecting every day, your sales funnel, it's not gonna look good until they eventually convert into revenue generating customers. So you can see here how this definition goes through a process. And the first thing, we're always searching for the right customer, and because these are the ones that we need to move forward and through the sales funnel, because we want to convert them into revenue generating customers. That's the main goal. So also, I wanted to talk about the difference between a lead and a sales prospect. Believe it or not, this is very, like, some people like mistake this, and even working on sales, and even like in meetings, I can see it. We are not using the right words. And it's very important that we use the right words and we understand all of this, because if we're working in sales and this is what we're doing every day, we need to know what we're doing. So what's the difference here? Leads come first, sales prospects second. In a simple way to explain this, a sales prospect is a qualified lead. So while a lead is less likely to convert than a sales prospect, once that lead makes it through qualification during your sales process, they can then become a sales prospect with a higher likelihood of converting into becoming a paying customer. So leads comes first, and then the sales prospect. So leads, either if they're leads, prospect, whatever you call it, the end goal is the same. We need to nurture them. We need to nurture potential customers until they buy our product or service. This is very important. We need to search. Once we find them, we nurture them, because we want them to buy our product or or service. So another question. How about the difference between lead generation efforts and sales prospecting activities? Do we know the difference here? We've established that by definition, lead generation comes before interacting with sales prospects. Since a sales prospect is a qualified lead, we got that, right? Very easy. Lead generation typically is a process that's driven more by marketing, like represents both inbound and outbound efforts to gather leads, potential customers who've expressed interest in our product or services through actions like if they visit your website, they subscribe to our blog, they join a course or a webinar like this, they downloaded an ebook, whatever it is. Those are the efforts that will come from the lead generation. So progressing naturally, sales prospecting activities tend to be much more warm than lead generation and are directed toward efforts that are intended to convert your existing leads into paying customers. So sales prospecting activities include what we know call outbound calling, cold callings, and email to your leads. We email. I receive tons of emails, and this is how it works. So all of this sounds very, let's say, very basic, but let's see it through the sales funnel. So we get all these leads, then imagine that we got 1,000 leads. From those leads, when I do my work of prospecting, sales prospecting, if I do it properly, let's say we get 100 prospects. Remember, these leads, they came from efforts, probably from marketing, from whatever tool that we're using, but this that it generates leads, right? So after the prospects, there come the customers. Imagine from 100 prospects, we come to the stage 3 and they become customers. Also, very easy. Leads, prospect, sales. That explains what we're trying to say. But we took the time to prepare this funnel so we can explain the process that we want to actually highlight in this webinar. This is the main thing. If you want to take something from today, take this slide. This is the most important thing. Okay, let's explain this. Let's go through this. First, we have research. Remember how we explained the definition of sales prospecting? We're searching. We're continuously searching. So we start with research because we determine the quality of the lead. We got leads, right? So that's the goal. And that's how we set a set of criteria to evaluate the lead. Also, we need a CRM. We need a software. We need the help of CRM with us because that's the only way you're gonna be able to actually go through all of this criteria to evaluate the lead. You're gonna be able to have your database, and you're gonna be able to see everything that you've been doing with this lead throughout any contact in the CRM, inside the CRM. So it's very important to have a CRM. Next, we go to prospect, get to a connect. Those are the ones that we know, like gatekeeper, decision maker. This is very important. We always forget that about the gatekeepers, because the gatekeepers are the ones that can close the door for us, and they don't let us go through the decision maker. They close the door, or they can open it. So we don't get discouraged when you are only getting when you're getting in touch with the gatekeeper. You can also create an strategy to make the gatekeeper open the door for you to get to talk to the decision maker. You know, it would depend on the company, and you know, like there's ways to actually, you know, like gain the trust of the gatekeeper and, you know, get your way in and have a way with the decision maker. That's how we close deals, right? So after this, we go to connect. That's how we schedule the next meeting. And that's where we go with the discovery call. Then we go to the phase of educating. We evaluate and we qualify needs. We see the pain points. If we're gonna have an objection, you know, what's the budget? Is it timing? What is it, you know? Then we go closing, right? We have, we turn opportunities into customers. That's what we want. But here we can also see that we close lost or closed ones, and we need to be able to track the closing ratio here. You know, we have two things to see. We can even close it lost or won. And the reality is that if we have this mindset of looking everything as this funnel is showing us, even if we have a closed loss, we should be able to always have a plan so we can understand, you know, like what happened, how can we, are we going to have an opportunity next in the next few months? You know, like the better you do all these things before closing, your closing ratio will be, you know, like we're going to have more closed ones because you did you're not going to get now to the point of, oh, it was budget when you were evaluating and qualifying the needs. You need to, you know, you need to evaluate if you did that right. Understand? So let's move on. We have 10 tips to an effective sales prospecting. So the first one is very interesting, don't sell. The first and most important golden rule of effective sales prospecting is do not sell. This is contradictory, like this is crazy. But the reality is that sales prospecting is an entirely separate step from selling, because effective sales prospecting is a fact-finding mission. We're researching. You want to find out as much information about your lead as possible because you want to determine whether this lead is a good fit for your company or not. So we're not selling here. We're doing a research. We are finding out what are the needs of this customer, potential customer. What are the pain points? Everything that we can find out. If you already have your ideal customer, you will be able to answer different questions. Please go and check our the first part of this webinar because it was a very good introduction for all of this. So number 2, consistency counts. Don't give up. It's effective sales prospecting is the cornerstone that will ensure it possible to meet sales quotas. Because you need to make it a part of your everyday activity as a sales rep. We need to be consistent. So number 3, do your research. This is what it's all about, Not everyone is your ideal client. So stop, you need to do your research right. When you know that you can target your efforts to those who will benefit most from your product, effective sales prospecting happens when you have an ideal customer description, and then you can focus on leads that match up with your ideal client profile. If you don't have that, then we're not going to be able to really focus on the leads that actually matter to our company. Number 4, work to your strengths, but don't limit yourself. Each person has a different work style and a different form of communication that they favor. If you're a sales rep, and you're very good at in person, but you're not so good with the phone, or you're not so good at expressing yourself with the email, you work with your strengths, but you have to understand that you cannot limit yourself to that, because the most important thing it's not you here. We value your strengths, but the most important thing is that communication here is a two-way street. Your prospects also likely have preferred modes of communication, and if what you're doing isn't getting results, you need to try switching it up. So that's the most important thing. Number 5, use a script. This is very, there's a lot of controversy about this, because now lots of sayings, you need to make it more personal, you need to make it more natural, but having a script is not something bad. It's actually good. You just need to be smart about it, and you need to be so good at it that it will look like it's not it doesn't sound like it's canned, So a script offers the best language to use to describe the value and features of your products or services. So if you're against the idea of using script, think about it this way. What you say right now is already a script, So it's just not written down. So try to be natural, try to be normal, like a natural conversation, and write it down. And I promise that it will help you. Number 6, welcome and plan for objections. This is another crazy thing, hitting an objection is great news. What are you saying here? Well, it means your lead is thinking about what you're saying. Like if they come with an objection that actually, has a meaning, it's a good thing. You can start a negotiation, you can start a conversation. So You need to welcome these conversations. You need to welcome this because remember, you're not selling, you're helping them, and you need to help them through the whole process of them finding out how much they need you, right? And how much they need your product, how much they need your service. Number 7, ask for referrals. We're always too shy to do this, but we need to be ready and have it as part of our plan, even part of our closing plan. It doesn't matter how long it takes. The most important thing is that your client is happy, and you need to take advantage of that and ask for referrals. These are going to be the warmest leads that you can hope to land in your lab, because referrals come to you with an already established base of trust that you don't have to build now. The best way is like, well, my client introduced me to another client, and we grow the network like this. So ask for referrals. As soon as you know that your customer is happy, go for it. Number 8, leverage automation. I'm not going to go very deep into this because we have other webinars that will tackle this topic very much. If you see anything about marketing, marketing cloud, and all of that, and part of that, we really go deep into this. But I just wanted to mention that, did you know that the 50% of sales time is wasted on ineffective sales prospecting? And we already know how important it is sales prospecting, right? So one of the ways to get some of this time back is to use automation. So it's not the same, like you started you started a series of emails. Use automation so you can take more time to do other stuff. And take more time to do more of the outbound, and we're going to talk about that later on. So number 9 is don't give up immediately. That's one of the biggest mistakes that we make. We get discouraged when they throw their doors into our faces, they close the door. But effective sales prospecting can sometimes be a long game, and we need to know this, and we need to be ready for this. You might meet prospects that aren't ready to buy yet. That doesn't mean they won't be ready in 3 months or 6 months. So you need to have in mind that this is going to be a long game. Your dedication and belief in your product or service will also make an impression on your prospect. I'm not saying that waste your time on people that they're saying no right now. But remember, just make a plan. If you have a CRM, if you're working with CRM, if you're working with a CRM, we work with Salesforce, we know you create a task for the next 3 months, for the next 6 months, and the CRM will work for you and will remind you these things so you don't forget, because you cannot give up. And number 10 and last of these 10 tips, review what you're doing. This is so important. You don't want to be investing your time in techniques that aren't producing results. That will be insane. So you need to do reviews regularly. You will begin to, have the best approach of everything, and you're gonna get to know more your target, and you're gonna be better at your pitch. At the script that we were talking about, you're gonna be so much better at that. So let's talk about the sales prospecting techniques. As the sales environment matures, we're seeing a shift from from an either or methodology of prospecting. But basically, we're talking about outbound prospecting and inbound. Outbound, we're talking about cold calling. We know this. Everyone says cold calling is dead. There's tons. It still works. Don't say something is not working until you try it, because these things can work for you. Unsolicited calls to sell a product or service. Social spamming. Social media messages to sell a product or service. They're not asking for it, because we're talking about outbound. The process here is that the research takes longer without any prior history with the concept. We're doing our lead generation by prospecting, you know. Instead, if we do inbound prospecting, you know, we have warm emailing, you know, emails to explore a relationship with a lead who has already expressed familiarity with your product or service. Remember that we mentioned that they can come, you know, they downloaded an ebook, they signed up for a webinar like this one, and we contact them after that. You know, we can start a conversation about the webinar topic, about the ebook. It's different. So that's why the name here, like the word is warm emails. So also social selling, using social media to explore a relationship with a lead who has already also expressed, you know, like that he already knows a little bit about your product. And the process here is that the research process is shorter, as we already have their contact information. You know, we are using our CRM for all of this, so we also like have an interaction history, how many emails they receive, if they open the email, if they haven't opened our emails, you know. So we have all this information that will actually let us, it will give us a better idea of how we're gonna, you know, approach this lead. But the reality is that I will never tell you, you know, go inbound, go outbound. No, 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 no. Successful organizations work with a combination of both, because you need to know what works for you. You know, you need to know what works for your industry. You need to know what works with your customers. What do they want? So the techniques are here. You just need to make use of both the way you can make it work. And that's our advice. And finally, because I promise it's only going to take you 30 minutes here, and you can go back to whatever you were doing. And we really appreciate that you take your time. We know you're very busy. Let's talk about prospecting KPIs. This is very important because we often, you know, like we forget how to evaluate what we're doing. And that's the way we can improve, you know. So the most successful sales organizations are the ones working systematically. And to do that, you have to have clearly defined goals. So this is a formula that I really like. It's a very easy one. And let's just go through it real quick, because it's very easy. And you have this presentation that you can download. For those who weren't here at the beginning, you can go to the handout section and download the presentation, and you can review it with your team, right? So your sales velocity is a function of A that will be the number of sales opportunities that you work. That's what we have here, opportunities, right? B will be the average deal value. You have it here. C, your win rate. And D, the length of your sales cycle. So the main thing you need to know about this, you know, you want to increase A, B, and C and reduce D. You know, we want to reduce the length of this sales cycle because when we are qualifying our leads the way we should do it, you know, this will automatically reduce the length of a sales cycle, because we're gonna have the right approach, and we're gonna go after the right person at the right time, and that's what we want. So what we did here is that we divided on different categories, right? So the activity or task related KPI, you can just like make sure that you know the number of dials per day, and you can have a dashboard at your CRM, right? Number of emails per day. You know, how many of conversations per day are your sales reps having? You know, number of new companies and contacts added per day. You know, you can change it, add it per week, and you can just review this weekly with your sales team, right? Also, prospecting results KPIs. Number of meetings booked or held. We need to know, like, here is very important. We can book them, but if we didn't help them, you know, like we need to keep track of this. You know, number of new sales qualified opportunities. Also, sales results related KPIs. You know, we need to know what's our hit rate. You need to know our average deal size, average sales cycle, and the business-related KPIs that we need to track are client acquisition costs, customer lifetime value, revenue, lead velocity rate. So all of these things, we need to keep track of them for us to be able to, change if we're doing something that is not right. That was one of the tips that we gave earlier. If something is not working for you, these metrics here will help you, because this will make you need to make sure that you're measuring your goals in the right way.